Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Miscellaneous Debris podcast with me, your host, the Mad Chatter Ryan MK. That's right. Don't forget, you can check out all my content on the Twitters, on the Grams at RMK Madness. That's right. Let's go ahead, get into some things. First of all, I hope you've all been well. Been good here. I got the new job in the cannabis industry. And this is exciting for me because many of you, or any of you that tend to listen to this show, or follow me, pay attention to any of my stuff, you'll know that I've been doing the restaurant thing for years. And then it's been driving me absolutely fucking bonkers. Yeah. Chunks of my stand-up material is based on the restaurant because there's so much shit in that industry. Craziness, insanity, stupid shit, funny shit. So to get out of that and to now be working with weed is great. Now, I do have to, start at the bottom, work my way up a little bit, but I'm okay with that. I've always been okay with that. And, for me, my creative stuff is that's number one when it comes to that's what I want to do. I want to do this kind of shit for the rest of time. Podcasting, making videos, what the fucks, crazy shits about space, stuff like that. My fantasy football shit, my stand-up comedy, my writing. I wish I could just put all my time into that. And luckily, I was able to for a few months, this past few months. And then, of course, there was a chunk of time during 2020 where I was able to do that as well. But gotta keep bringing money in the house, and the creative stuff, at least at the moment, isn't bringing in enough. Well, it's bringing in none, really. My football writing, I get paid for that, but that's why I need to get this Patreon going. If I can get the Patreon going, get some of y'all to start contributing, maybe at some point I do get to do this full time. But for now, not there. So we do it on the side. With that said, though, the new job does take up a chunk of time. 4 days, 10-hour shifts. I really like the job. I really like the schedule. But the 4 days I work, it's hard to get shit done. I'm out the door 5 o'clock in the morning, and I get home about 5 o'clock at night. So between driving and the shift and so for the next few weeks, because I know I've got 2 what the fuck episodes in the chamber that have been worked on. I just haven't had time to finish them. And even though I've been promising them, and so I'm like, I got to get those done. But my first week was rough. I was trying to get used to everything. So I want you to bear with me, y'all. Just bear with me because, hey, it may be a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks till I really get settled into my new routine and whatnot. But we're going to keep the creative shit rolling. It just might be a little slow for a few weeks, like I said, while I'm adjusting to the new schedule. And we'll keep stuff going. But we're going to keep the pods going. The Miscellaneous Debris podcast, this one. And if you are a football fan, fantasy football fan, and you check out my Dynasty Wonderland podcast with my guy Aaron Stewart, the March Heron. Yeah, if you're into that, check that one out. But I'll still be getting the pods going, and I'll still be putting stuff out. It's just going to be quite a bit less the next few weeks. So yes. But I really love the cannabis industry. It's good to be in it. I gotta be honest, I wish I don't think I could take pictures, and if I can, I'm afraid to. But I really want to just take pictures of these giant bins that I just sit there and I make the weed look pretty, trim up the weed. So I'll be just chilling with these bins full of buds, and I just play with weed. It's great. So it's a fun job. I dig it. And on top of that, I just get to sit there and listen to podcasts and stand-up comedy and speaking of stand-up comedy, I'm going to be getting back in that mode. the stand-up mode. I've already been working on new material, fucking going through my old material, seeing what still works, what still doesn't. Because this is, some of you may know, last year I was ready to hit the ground running with stand-up comedy, and it was going to begin in the summer. 2020 was supposed to be my year. I was going to attack this shit, and then of course COVID. So the comedy clubs did shut, and I wasn't able to do anything. Well, now the world's kind of getting back to normal. The wife and I are fully vaccinated, not just fully vaccinated, but it's been our so many weeks time where we should be at the point where, it's going to be its most effective. And lots of other people are getting vaccinated. I mean, it's not as many as we need. It's kind of slowing a bit, it seems, but, it seems like things are getting better. Excuse me. Ooh. Delayed cough. That little puff got me a little more than I thought. But so again, it's time. Last year was supposed to be time. Well, now it's time. It's time. So this summer, I will be getting my stand-up comedy groove, my open mic groove going here in the great city of Denver, Colorado. So at some point this summer, you can expect to see me at the good old Comedy Works. Okay. So I'm just going to keep rolling on it. And that's another reason you might see a little bit less of like my creative stuff on social media and whatnot. Basically, I just want to get settled into my new routine with the new job and everything, and find out where I have my good times to work on my creative shit. But I got to put some time into this stand-up stuff so that I'm ready to go when it's time for me to hit an open mic, because that's happening this summer. So that's what we're doing. Other than that, been watching the playoffs. They've been insane. The NHL playoffs have been a lot of fun. I was so happy with my Avalanche. They swept the Blues in the first round, and then get the Knights in the second round, and they win the first game 7-1. I'm like, they're gonna kill it, and then they win 2-1. But then they lost both games to Vegas in Vegas. So now it's 2-2 the series, and I'm a little worried for my hometown Avalanche. But really good series going on there. Bruins Islanders is 2-2. That's fun. Lightning taking out the Canes. They're up 3-1. Canadians up 3-0 on the Winnipeg Jets. I know a lot of people probably don't give a shit about puck, but I do. So it's good stuff. And the NBA playoffs heating up. They're hitting the second round. Got some good matchups. Hometown Nuggets taking on the Suns. You got the Jazz and the Clippers. Clippers came back, took the series from the Mavericks. That was a bummer. Mavericks star Luka Doncic, he's just been killing it, had a great series, but they couldn't. They were up 3-2. They just couldn't pull it off. Just couldn't finish it, But a lot of good matchups there. You got Nets versus the Bucks, which is kind of one of the more premier matchups. I would say possibly the top matchup in the second round. So, and then you got the Hawks taking game one from the 1-seeded 76ers in the East. There's a lot I really enjoy the playoffs this year. The Lakers are gone, so it's like the big bad Lakers is gone. So, it's not going to be LeBron James and them boys winning another title. So that kind of opens it up, right? Last year, you just assumed LeBron and Anthony Davis and them boys were going to win the title with the Lakers. And they did. They're out. There's not a team I look at and go, they're for sure winning. It's pretty wide open this year. I like that because for so many years it was like, well, it's either the Warriors, right, or the team LeBron's on. It's one of those two that are winning it. So it's nice to see it a little bit different this year, a little bit different. But yeah, other than that, you got that Mayweather versus Paul fight. That shit happened last night. I don't care about any of that stuff. Oh, I guess in the same event, Chad Ochocinco fought as well, got knocked down and go up there. Hey, it's a bunch of boxing. I used to watch some boxing with my dad, but I don't know. I've not been into it for a very long time. I remember watching UFC way back when it first came, like when there was like Tank Abbott on it and shit. Um, but I just don't watch. I don't know. I like wrestling, and I think part of it is just things like real fighting, the MMA, like the possibility you see someone really get fucked up. And I guess I just kind of lost my desire for that as I got older, you know? I just kind of lost that desire to, it's different in movies. In movie, I like to see the shit in movies, but I don't like to see someone for real get lit up so good that they don't know where the fuck they're at, because we're learning a lot about concussions and long-term damage and effects and whatnot, and you see this in football, and that's why in football, when I watch football, I no longer see those big crazy hits and go, oh fuck, did you see that? That was fucking great. I can't do that anymore. No, I see that shit and I'm like, oh my god, I hope his brain is okay. Like I can't. I don't know. I'm sure part of it is age and mature. What the hell? How is my phone going off? It's not even on. But I'm sure part of it is maturity and age, as I was saying before my phone, or actually think that was my computer, because the computer's hooked up to the fucking phone. Anyway, I lost track of what I was saying. That's a damn shame. Anyway, I digress. Oh yeah, I was talking about that because we're talking about Mayweather, Paul, boxing. I don't know. So even in wrestling, when I watch wrestling, I'm watching that and I'm like, I love wrestling because it gives you that feeling like in a movie where the shit's like, oh, that was crazy. But it's not real, right? And I shouldn't say that because there's a big pro wrestling fan, like just people in the pro graps industry. We don't like to hear that fake shit because it's not fake. You could say the results are predetermined, but those dudes beat the shit out of each other and they can get very hurt. Now, the only thing you could say that's like not quite real is they are also trying truly not to hurt each other. But I think that's where somewhere in my brain, I find that better. I don't like because see, for me, I never had that issue before, but I think it's somewhere along after I sobered up and I talked about, in the episode where I told my addiction story, I kind of talked about it, that sobering up, and because of everything I went through, I never really learned who I truly was. And so that kind of came in my late 20s as I'm sobering up and shit. And that was just kind of one of the things I realized, like, yeah, I just don't, even though I've done a lot of fighting and getting into shit, like, this not something I want to do. I don't want to see people actually hurt. And I think that's the biggest thing for me is I just don't want to see people actually get hurt. And and if we're doing it in a movie, Fargo, where he's just shooting someone in the head because he saw, the part where the car drives by and sees the two dudes, and then one gets in the car and fucking takes off after him, runs them off the road, and then just plugs both of them. I like that shit in movies, but I don't like hearing about people get shot or beat the fuck up or knocked out really bad. Like, I don't want to hear it's I don't yeah, I just don't I ain't down with people getting hurt unless you really fucking deserve it. You know what I mean? Sometimes people deserve it. Sometimes it helps. I can honestly say I've been beat up a couple of times that actually got clear my fucking head or hurt myself to where I was like, oh, okay. Sometimes you learn from that shit. But I just don't like, in general, I think, to see people get hurt. And that's why some of the, more combat sports, I don't care for, and I appreciate something like wrestling because it gives you that same effect without there actually being people getting hurt, even though in wrestling people still get hurt because that shit's risky as fuck. But you got Floyd Mayweather back in the spotlight. And I'm not a fan of this dude. He's a piece of shit, if you ask me. Good on him for being a little dude, such as myself, and becoming a legendary boxer and making all the money and all that. But he hits chicks, and I ain't cool with that shit. And And yeah, I'm just not down for that. So I'm not a fan of Mayweather, but I was hoping he would knock the fuck out of this Logan Paul dude because I hate these Paul brothers. And I'm all, and here's another, I'm all for people making their name, making their money however they want to. These guys did it by fucking YouTube, okay? And there's a lot of, I was listening to a podcast the other day about stand-up comedy and how like some stand-up comedians, this can really irk them because they put all this time and work, and then you see someone get on YouTube and just blah 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 blah, and all of a sudden they're famous, making a bunch of money and doing this and that, and it can be crazy, but you can't. I mean, it's the market. Here's the way I look at it. Am I going to be a little irritated if someone has an easy time getting their name out despite not really putting in the work to do it? Yeah, that's kind of aggravating, especially for those people. And not just me. I see plenty of like great artists, creators that aren't super rich and famous and well known, and they work much harder than some of the people that. A great example is in the fantasy football community. There's a particular female who has a lot of followers. It would appear to me from looking at things that there's not a ton she brings to the table as far as fantasy wise, which is fine, whatever. But she has so many followers, and she gets on to go on all these podcasts and all this stuff, and it's like I'm not even saying I'm envious because of me. No, because I'll take a step back in the fantasy football world because that's not my number one gig. Like the comedy aspect is more my number one gig. Football is something I love. I love to write about fantasy football. I love to podcast about fantasy football. If I was able to do that for a living, sure, it is not my number one option, to be honest. And so I'm okay being like the one that doesn't get a lot of attention, because I also know a lot of people in that community preach stick to sports, and I do not stick to sports. So I can see how that would hold me back in that community a bit, and I'm 100% okay with that. Why? Because I don't want to, have to change myself and my shit, my creations, my art at all, just to rise in said community. So I'm going to keep doing shit my way, and whatever happens, happens. So I'm not even speaking on behalf of myself, but I just see some dudes out there and some other female. I see some people out there really doing some shit on Twitter, making good points, putting out articles. And it's like they don't have nearly the same amount of followers, and I wonder, it's just a bummer at times, because you're like, you would think the harder working people deserve, but it's just not how it goes, and you have to be understanding of that and accepting of it. And hey, maybe what if you worked really, really hard, but it was something stupid that got you well known? It wasn't even your hard work. Are you going to turn that down because you weren't, found or whatever by the shit you really worked hard on? It was something just stupid and silly you did. Would you just say, no, I'm sorry, I cannot accept the fame and money for this because it's not really from my hard work? I know, of course you take it. So yeah, I find it a little irritating, but I don't really blame anybody for it. If you're the person, you can't turn that shit down. And if you're on the other end, the market is speaking. This person is popular. I mean, that's just it. I don't know what to say. It sucks, but it doesn't. Yeah. But I'm all over the place. I know I am. I apologize for that, because I have my notes right for the pod, but then I wasn't able to record last night, full transparency. So now we're recording Monday morning, which is unusual for me, while everybody's sleeping, early Monday morning. And everybody's still knocked out. So I'm sitting here recording, and it's like I have my notes, and it's like my brain is so active right now. I got a good night's sleep. I've been awake for a little bit. My brain is so active. I'm seeing all my notes, and then just more notes are springing up in my head, more thoughts, more places to go. So I'm going to try and wrap this intro up because we have somebody coming today, somebody coming to join the podcast today. We are finally going to have the Tacocat. That's right. But I'll get to that in a second because we got to finish this Floyd Mayweather, Logan Paul shit. Did I even finish it? I might have finished it. Really, there's nothing to say. Like it went to 8 rounds. I don't know. It looked like Logan Paul was going to lose, but he got a few hits in on Floyd, and Floyd Mayweather said he's better than I thought. I don't even care. I don't like either one of the dudes. But I did kind of want to see the YouTuber get knocked out. But hey, he must be a pretty good boxer. So, I'm going to quit harping on his boxing. I'm going to quit harping on his boxing. I still think he's a fucking idiot, but he just needs a spotlight. Wasn't he, thieving shit during the pandemic? Like, people just forget about that? Just whatever. From his stupid brother. Watch, one of these days, if I ever get some name for myself, I'm probably going to have a lot of people wanting it. See, now that they got this whole thing going, let's have celebrities fight. I'm really going to have to, the first thing is I always turn down boxing because I'm not a boxer. No, I'm one who uses legs as well. So I'm never going to be in a boxing match. I don't think I could fucking do it. Even if I train for it. I'm too, my legs. I'm used to using my leg. I play drums, karate, kung fu. Like, I'm used to using my leg. It would be just too much of a, like, I wouldn't be able to not kick. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be able to, I don't know how I would be able to do that. So I don't even think I could try to box because I think it would just be too much of my personal instinct to just go. You can't see me kicking because the camera. Did you see my foot there? I have stress today. I shouldn't have done that. Oh, goodness. But a lot of people are looking for that spotlight. I'm not going to lie. I am as well. And everybody's got their own approach everywhere they're, however they're going to do it. And I get it. And that's fine. That is fine. But it is a little irksome, you see, when some people find that spotlight so goddamn easy and others not. I see some really good stuff on Twitter. And it's funny, some of the shit you see on like even Netflix. I just feel like wish there was a better way, for everybody to be able to get the because that's kind of what it is when you work in the creative field, arts and entertainment type of thing. It really is kind of taking your shot. You just got to do the best you can, and no matter how good it is, it's all about getting noticed or timing. Just that perfectly timed tweet, that perfectly timed video. I don't know. As some of you may have watched my Trumper Kit video. That was one of the funniest fucking things I think I've ever done in my life. The few people in my life that saw it, like family, they thought it was fucking hilarious too. My brother, my son, and they never tell me my shit's funny. And they fucking loved it. But just didn't get any traction. Can you imagine if an additional 10,000 people had seen that video? What would have come from that? I don't know. Just couldn't get the views on it, couldn't get the eyes on it. And I'm terrible at that, trying to find that spotlight. Speaking of the spotlight, there was a bakery in the spotlight, and this was interesting. Confections Bakery. God damn it! Look it up on Twitter. I can't for the life of me remember. Is Texas? Was it in Texas? No, I don't remember where the fuck it. But basically, they had posted something on Twitter, rainbow cookies, rainbow heart cookies, in support of Pride Month and whatnot. And a bunch of people unfollowed them for being pro Pride. And a bunch of people canceled orders, including one who had canceled an order for the very next day of like hundreds of cookies. A lot of those people probably call themselves fucking Christians, right? And the whole pride thing is against their fucking religion, right? And I hate when people say that because I just want to tell them, read your book a little closer. But see, that's the problem with these people. They'll never fucking get it. Oh, I'm Christian. We don't believe in that. That's what they always jump to the Bible. But there's so much shit in the Bible and in their teachings that they fucking ignore. It's ridiculous. I'm going to put it this way. The religious right, well, the right in general, but just fucking hypocrites up the ass. And you could put it in their face. No. See, here's what you say. Here's what you also say. Here's evidence of you saying all that stuff. You're a fucking hypocrite. And they still would not concede. Excuse me, apologies. They still would not concede. But this kind of shit pisses me off. And especially because how are you good? This is the same fucking group of people, again, being hypocrites, talking about how cancel culture is a problem and it needs to stop. And then they canceled cookies. Like, what the fuck? Ah! I'm going to do a what the fuck on that. It makes me so goddamn mad. This bakery, because we don't like that cancel culture. Cancel culture's going too far. Oh, they got gay cookies? Fuck them cookies. What the fuck? Again, another example of being hypocrite. And if you explained it to them, like they wouldn't even look at what they're doing as even relatable to cancel culture. They just it makes me want to scream. These people. And now their God, the orange racist turd, is trying to nudge back in the spotlight too. And he did. And he did so in pants that were elastic and appeared to have been on backwards. There's so many people like those elastic pants. You can't tell if they're on. Yes, you can. What was going on on the leg part? You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. If they weren't on backwards, they were fitted all sorts of fucked up, or that dude is just definitely weird, way more weird shapes than we thought, right? Because none of it looked right. None of it looked right. And I'm like, these fucking people make fun of Biden. Like, I'm sorry. Just from, like, if you were an outsider, like Europeans, who do you think they hate Trump, so he looks like a fucking sleep. He reminds me of just that fucking dumb uncle who's an egomaniac and talks too much and thinks he knows everything. Those stupid uncles, I hate them. He reminds me of one of them. Phone interrupting again. And to you. So, yeah, he's back in the spotlight with flashy new paint. Can you imagine how mad he is at all of this? Who do you think he is having killed over those pants? Somebody's dying over those goddamn pants. You realize that, right? Somebody's fucking dying over those fucking pants. Somebody is gonna fucking die over those pants. Oh shit. He's gonna be so mad that people are just making fun of him and saying he put on his pants backwards. He's gotta hate it so much, which means I love it. And he made that appearance to continue all his lies and insert a new belief that he's gonna be reinstated in August. That's what these people really fucking believe. Like it just and another area of hypocrisy. Remember the last election when Trump won? And there was hints of Russian interference, and everybody's like, I don't know about this shit. This seems fishy. Something's going on with Russia. We don't know. Trump won. That's weird. And and remember, they called everybody snowflakes and told them to quit crying. That's what y'all said, right? Trump won. He's your president. Quit being a snowflake. Quit crying. Just deal with it. And now they just crying about Trump losing. Crying like some babies. Little babies. Just keep whining and crying. Tantrums. With backwards diapers. Can we just have the aliens take them away? Can we just do that? You're like, hey, if you really want to like experiment on this dude is one of the most fucked up humans you're ever gonna run into. So he'd probably be a pretty good one to take with you to like, do a little research. You know what I'm saying? Like, not many of us get like that. So he might be a good one too. Oh shit. UFO news. Yes. Reports coming. Yes. Everything happening. And so finally, my brother, my young brother, Mr. Tyson, the Tacocat, he will be joining the show next to discuss some UFO stuff and leading into some other conversation where we're going to have fun. We're going to have fun. So yeah, it's going to be a good time. But yes, quick break. We'll be back to chat about aliens taking off Trump and UFOs and all sorts of good stuff. So yes, we return momentarily. Okay, back. We are back. And we welcome a guest to the Miscellaneous Debris Pod. My youngest of brothers, the Tacocat himself. Tyson, what is up, bro? Glad to have you on the pod, finally.
Finally made it on.
Yes.
Feels good.
Now, I brought you on for
Buffalo,
specific...
New York.
That's right, Buffalo, New York. We'll see what the Bills do this year. Sabres got to do something, man. Sabres, them poor Sabres. Just bad luck, bro. So we are here to talk about...
I don't talk about them.
Okay.
I talk about the Bills all day, though.
Okay. All right. Well, we are here to talk about UFOs, as promised. And not just UFOs, but little space. Maybe sometime we'll have you on again to talk a lot about space, but just government stuff, old stories leading into Skinwalker Paranormal. We got some good stuff, some good ideas. Let's get into it. But to begin, are we alone? That's the big question. And really, we think so, or we think not. And we think there's something else out there. I mean, and so why? Why? Well, space is fucking vast. It's huge, endless almost, and it's 13.8 billion years old. And if you think about it, Earth is 4.5 billion years old. Life first appeared 3.7 billion years ago. So that's 10 billion fucking years of time where multiple civilizations could have evolved. Now, sure, some may have died out already. We saw what happened to the dinosaurs, but there's plenty of reason in my mind to look at like the possibility that of course we're not alone. Now it just depends on what else is out there, because there's possibly life in our own solar system on moons. Like there's potentially stuff there. We mean more intelligent life. So what do you got to say on this? Why is it we think that we are not alone, Tyson?
Let's see, I think it all starts with space, like you were saying. Space is so big, it's crazy to fathom how big it is.
Right.
And we have our galaxy. We still don't even know, what's in our galaxy besides obviously planets and stars. We can look at them through a telescope, but we don't know what's out there. That's just our own galaxy. There's billions of galaxies, just like our own. A star, planets going around it, billions upon billions upon billions. And that's just what we know is out there.
Right. Right.
And there could be even more, trillions and trillions. So to just say, is there life? There's life. It's not a possibility that there's not. With this many galaxies, this many planets, this many suns, it's out there. But
right,
like you said, what is there intelligent life? Are they coming to visit us? Is there, are they people like us? Or, just look at what we've had on our planet, like you're talking about. We had dinosaurs, and then they disappeared. And then other things started, and then eventually evolution, whatever you want to say, we had mammals that slowly, evolved into humans, and now we're here. And what is it like on some of these other planets that most likely must have life? Is it just bacteria? Is it animal? There are more dinosaurs? Is there another planet that's in the dinosaur era but hasn't got struck by an asteroid? Or is that just indigenous to our planet? We have I don't know. It's so crazy to think about. But yeah, the question of whether there is life, if you think about it, there is. The main question is, really, is it, coming to our planet?
Right.
And that's the big question.
Yeah. So, how intelligent the life is, because again, scientists believe that on, for example, there's moons in our solar system that have subterranean oceans that could potentially harbor life, because it would be same conditions as the depths of the oceans here where there is life. So, and we also have to think about life might be different than life as we know it. Like another example, even in our own solar system, is on Titan, Saturn's, where this place has sand dunes all over the place, and the dunes are doing weird stuff, going against the wind, and it's like there has to be something moving it. And a theory, it's very possible, there's like giant sandworms that feed off electricity, because there's this electricity in the atmosphere and in the sand dunes on that planet. And so it's just crazy to think about, like, this would be like a Tremor almost from the movie Tremor, but it would be nothing like we know about on Earth, because it wouldn't necessarily need the same things that we need to survive. And I think that's sometimes where people lose sight too, is, hey, there could just be, like, you remember Gremlins 2, and one of the gremlins turned into like electric gremlin? Like, there could be like electric aliens. I mean, like, who the fuck knows that would need no oxygen or anything like that? So it's just really crazy to think about. It's probably a lot more like,
we don't even know what's on our planet completely. We've only, explored what, like 10% of the ocean? I mean, it's really like a very small number. I'm just throwing that out there, but I know it's a very small number. And like we don't even know what's in our oceans. And that kind of gets to the aliens. People think we could have like alien, stuff in our oceans. But, without getting into that right now, it's just we haven't even explored our own ocean. How can you say that there's no life when we haven't even yeah, just I don't know.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff out there, and yeah, like you're saying, I think it's very interesting to think what kind of life could be out there, and
Right.
even just to say, oh yeah, there's other life. It doesn't have to be humans or the green aliens that we associate with life. It could just be a little organism, an ant, just any
Right.
other life. And I just don't. The subterranean oceans that you're talking about. How can we say that there's not something swimming around down there? Like, why not?
Right.
And then again, then you go to a couple galaxies over. They got planets in that habitable zone. Like
Yeah.
we don't know if there's life or not. But why? Why wouldn't there be?
Right.
And that's just a couple galaxies over. Why don't we go to the edge of the universe, 200 million light years away? It's crazy. I don't know. It's crazy to think about, but
Yeah. I mean, some scientists even believe that the octopus is actually technically an alien, that it didn't um first appear here and evolve here and everything. They think that might have came from asteroids or something like that. And it's just octopus, squid, things like that are just what they think they might find in those subterranean oceans. And so yeah, it's just crazy. It's crazy to think about. And then you get to actual things, weird things that we see, and you're starting to hear the government fess up to some of this shit, to some of the programs.
The whole thing.
Huh?
We'll never hear the whole thing, but
oh no,
we're getting
no.
tidbit.
No, and that's why there are people who are just kind of like waiting for some big disclosure moment. And I've long thought we're never going to get that, but we are going to get bits and pieces. And now the government is actually acknowledging that, hey, there's some shit we don't know about, and that feels like that's one of the biggest things. They didn't want to come out and go, yeah, there's some shit, but we don't know what it is. They didn't want to sound stupid, but I mean, like, it's just. It's ridiculous, but it's at the point where we can at least talk about this as a serious subject, without, any major, like, there's still going to be your people out there like, well, whatever, but it's not as taboo anymore. Like, this is more mainstream. People are taking it more seriously. I mean, you got the Navy videos and the pilot's testimony, the TikTok one, the Go Fast. You've got the Lou Elizondo and Chris Mellon and Senator Reid and all these guys working, and they're the ones that brought out the whole thing about the ATIP and program, and so they're kind of pushing Washington to like come out with this shit, like and the Pentagon, hey, let's get some of this shit out there. Let's talk about this. And it's great. It's great. They're supposed to have a report do this. Like it'll be interesting to see what's in that. I don't imagine it's going to be nearly as cool as some people want it to be again, but hopefully we get a little bit here and there, because I mean, that's what we're probably likely to get.
I just don't see why it's got to be so secretive. I don't get it.
I think part of it is
trying to keep from us, or like, I don't know. I mean, they don't want to scare us.
Well, knowing the government and then the stuff like I've read pertaining to this issue, it's kind of we don't want to look stupid in front of our public, in front of other countries. We also don't know what other countries know and don't know about this kind of stuff. And also there is a vast religious aspect to this, because as Lou Elizondo, I think, was one of the people talking about it, but there's people just in the Pentagon that like for Skinwalker Ranch, for example, they just wanted to stop it. It was too creepy. It was to that it went against what some of what they believed, or they just felt it
Yeah.
was demonic in nature or something like that, and therefore they didn't want it investigated anymore. And so I think there's some religion that plays a factor, and like so who knows? Who it seems stupid to me, especially when there's enough evidence out there for us to go like, you can keep saying whatever, but we know
Yeah.
like most people, but it is weird. The secrecy is weird.
Yeah, I want to know kind of what goes behind it, because you have so many different countries and so many different governments, and they might not have certain technologies that other countries have, but how is it, the only stuff we see is stuff that like civilians film and stuff. Except for now, we're starting to get some, like you said, some of the leaks that we're getting, but um, it's such a big conspiracy, big cover up kind of thing. Like how is no other government that, leaked anything yet after all these years?
Yeah.
That kind of blows my mind,
Well, I do remember France put out a pretty fucking insane UFO report. They took that shit more seriously and made it more available to the public. And that's the other thing, is you just have to look at other countries. But I think so much of it is a lot of countries were looking at keeping it secret because it's like, hey, if we can find out what this is, get our hands on some of it, reverse technology this shit and use it for ourselves, then we have a secret weapon that nobody fucking knows about. Which is also stupid because it always comes down to that kind of shit. But like, I
Exactly.
suppose,
Down to is bigger weapons. Who knows how many of these UFOs that we have filmed, or not, that civilians have filmed, are actually like weapons that government is testing and things like that.
well,
It's
there's evidence that like there's some crazy shit out there, where the Nazis were trying some shit. And they actually had a fucking tried to make a spinning ground, and that's where a lot of the like conspiracy theory shit leads to. But it's yeah, it is crazy because nowadays who the fuck knows,
yeah, yeah.
because by this time somebody might have gotten their hands on it. But then again, I mean, it would seem that's pretty hardcore technology. But then you got to get into looking at some of the older stories and find credence in that, because there's a lot of ex-astronauts and government officials that came out and said stuff for years, and half of them deemed kooks and just looking for attention and this and that. And you've had people admit stuff on deathbeds. You've got some of the more famous stuff like Travis Walton, who the movie Fire in the Sky was based on, the abduction case, and then the Battle of Los Angeles, the Phoenix Lights, the aerial school in Zimbabwe. There's all these different things you have to give more credit to. And some of this shit is, and Battle of LA is a great example of how I feel like it's like when, if they came and started visiting at a point, or they were already here and just started making themselves more known, whatever the case, it's like our first instinct was to attack them, and that probably doesn't look good to them, but that's always something I've thought about. But a lot of these old stories, man, we got to look at them and take them all more seriously. And I in general too, I do anyway. But yeah, now it's at a point where it's like, hey, you people have to realize, everyone has to realize there's some shit out there. There's some shit. Like, this isn't just life that we're talking about. There's got to be something intelligent out there we don't fucking know about.
Yeah, it's time to go back and look at some of that old stuff that maybe we forgot about, or we just talk about as kind of lore and legend, like that some people believe, some people don't. And who knows, you still got to cherry pick through some of that stuff, but some of that stuff is probably very, very true, and especially looking at it nowadays, and again, how do we cherry pick through that stuff and see what's real and not?
Right.
That's what you got to try and do. But there's a lot of good stuff out there. You just got to find it.
Right. There's even some good like crop circle stuff. And like I remember there's this one video of like you just see this cornfield and these two silver discs and they're going like this and then there's just bzzz in the ground. And people have tried to debunk it and tried to debunk it. And eventually people just said, oh, it's not real. It's not real. But like like how like there's so much crazy shit and the whole circle thing has been in question because there have been people that have gone into a field and did some shit at night. And I'm just like, okay, like maybe a few times, but like, I don't know. There's so much crazy stuff to look at. And,
Crop
like Bob,
circles are,
yeah,
there's a lot to that. And yeah, for someone to be like, yeah, okay, they tried it, they did it enough to where, all right, we can go out in the night and make a crop circle. With those, I haven't really looked into what their crop circles looked like after one night, but for some of these crop circles that you've seen, I just find it impossible that a couple of guys could go out and make such an intricate design, perfectly spaced, these perfect, like some of these look so crazy. And
right,
for them to be able to go out there and whatnot, doing all these different locations and this what these guys do, they just go around and make these awesome, little crop circles to just fool people. I don't know. I'm not buying it, but I'm a UFO guy, so
right,
other people just say, yeah, it's just other guys. And then that's it. They just blow it up.
right.
Okay.
No,
Again, that's, yeah.
there's got to be something to that because like I said, that one video in particular has stuck with me ever since I first saw it because I don't think you could explain that shit. You could try because people have looked at that and like that's not a trick of the video, like that was filmed. So like like I just that one's insane to me. And then you look at the Bob Lazar stuff and people question some of his shit because he's some of his stuff has changed and things like that, and he's got some shadiness to him, and I'm like, despite all of that, I think there's got to be a chunk of truth at least to what he's saying, and there's too much shit that he's talked about and then has come out to be true. Like it makes sense to me. At least some of what he's saying is right, and that's fucking crazy. So that's just another thing where it's like this is all becoming, I often say people nowadays have fucking ruined conspiracy theories for me, but this was like the original one, that I got into was fucking aliens and UFOs and the government could cover up and it's all coming true and it's proven that hey, this wasn't some conspiracy. This is actually some shit that went on and so it's cool shit. It's cool shit.
And it seems like they still don't really know much, but that's what we're getting, from them. Like, but yeah, it still seems like they don't really know. Maybe they actually have some crafts that crash landed, or maybe some bodies or whatever. But I still don't think they really know anything about whatever they are, or where they're from, or what they're doing here, which is just crazy because it's crazy to think about that they're just like coming and checking us out and trying to be as secretive as they can, and then just taking off. Like, what are they doing? Just are we a little science experiment?
I don't know. I once heard.
What are we to them? What are we to them? Why, are they scouting us out? But how long have they been doing that? Like, I don't know. It's crazy to think about. Like,
right.
What are we to them?
I think it was a comedian that I once heard talk about like, you got to compare it to a zoo. Like that's what we do at the zoo. We just go like, oh, look at them, and then we leave. We just like come in and out. Like it's not like maybe that's what we are at the zoo. Yeah, let's go check out the humans. And I've always felt like they just, huh?
We're an ant farm, like
right.
It was just like, hey, I'm gonna go to this planet and throw down some life and see what happens. Watch it grow, and and then they're coming and checking it out and being like, wow, look at this. Whoever did it won the Nobel Prize for those aliens. They're like, man, look at this world this kid created. It's blossomed into this. And then one day they're gonna be like, it's time to scrap it.
Right. Almost like
Yeah,
Prometheus.
yeah, the creators. We're done.
Yeah.
We're done messing with you guys.
Yeah.
But it just feels like that because, yeah, again, what are they doing? You would think that by now they would have either tried to communicate. If they have, they maybe already have, or attacked us, or something. I feel like something
I think
should have happened by now. But
I think they don't find us significant enough. We're kind of the black sheep of the universe. So like I don't think they so much care as much if they see us anymore, but they probably got a purpose and they don't care if anybody sees them. They probably try and avoid like military at times just because they know we're humans and we're stupid and we'll just start shooting at them. Like I could see that being because yeah. So I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? But it's yeah, all crazy stuff to think about. And it goes even deeper. We mentioned Bob Lazar, Jeremy Corbell. He gets a little iffy at times as a dude, but he's made a couple of great docs, one of them being on Bob Lazar, which is good, but the other one being on Skinwalker. And the interesting thing about Skinwalker Ranch is that it's got the UFO stuff, but it's also got some paranormal shit to it. There's been weird things that have happened there where like cows are all of a sudden crammed in a container and like scientists, like very bright minds, were there studying stuff, and one said he saw a ball of light and some creature come out of it like a fucking portal in the middle of the air. And like this is so, like unless he was like on acid or something, like I don't know how you don't take this dude for his word. Like these are like it's like pilots. These are credible people, and it's just an insane place that you do wonder if there's some sort of like portal there to other dimensions or several portals or something. Just all the different stuff that's been there, and it's just crazy to think about that other layer, like that added layer of dimensions, other dimensions. It's just crazy.
yeah, because you talk about aliens, that's something you're like, okay, there can be other life on other planets that, makes sense. And then you really start getting into craziness when you start talking about paranormal, ghosts, other dimensions.
Mm.
But I'm a believer in that too. And
Right.
which, like I said, adds another layer into the fold. And that's its own other thing. I mean, what are ghosts? You know?
Yeah.
I think I was telling you I had read somewhere or heard something that someone was trying to explain away ghosts and the paranormal just from people almost hallucinating all of it.
Mm.
And all of the houses that are haunted, they say that, most of those houses had like leaky pipes or were built on some kind of thing, or there was a graveyard that seemed haunted and people always saw stuff there. It was actually the graveyard was over some kind of thing in the ground that gases leaked out or something, and they're like, so that just explains it away. Everybody was just tripping the whole time. And I just find that hilarious because it's like, you're telling me that every single paranormal thing you can just explain away that someone was tripping on freaking taking like having too much CO2 or something in their body and they were just seeing shit. I find that very hard to believe.
I do too.
I have my ghost experiences, and my ex-girlfriend, she lived at that house that's very haunted, lived there for 13 years. They never had any health issues or anything. They never did anything with any kind of leaky pipes. So if you're telling me they lived in that house for 13 years, breathing in bad gases and tripping all the time and nothing happened to them?
Right.
Okay. I mean, how do you explain that?
Hard to believe.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Well, I remember, I don't even know, I can't remember if you were there or not, but I know it was me and Dane, and then I think JD and Anthony, our cousins, were there. And it was when Grandma had this place, and down this tiny hall. We were in the living room area, and down this tiny hall, there was 3 doors. One to the left was grandma's bedroom, one to the right was dad's bedroom, and the one directly in front was the bathroom. And so you had the 2 bedrooms, and it was the middle of the night. Grandma was in there asleep, door shut. Dad was in there asleep, door shut. Creaky doors, you know when they open. We're sitting there having a good time, laughing, giggling. All of a sudden, we hear someone peeing in the goddamn bathroom. We're all there. Dad's door, grandma's door, they were shut. We didn't hear them open anyway. What the fuck is that? So we wait for it to done, but we wait for the pee to stop, and then we are sitting there waiting for a toilet flush, for sounds of someone walking, for doors to be open, something. There was silence.
Yeah.
I don't know how long passed before somebody was like, Ryan, you go check it out, because I was the fucking oldest. And I'm like, no. I don't remember how old we were, any of that. I just remember that so vividly that the peeing stopped. And it's weird that it's peeing, but it was peeing. And it, just after it stopped, we just, all of us, like, just waiting for something. And there was nothing. It was crazy.
Yep. Like I was talking about that. My ex-girlfriend, her house, super haunted. I mean, take a whole podcast going over all the stuff that happened in that house. But, I mean...
We should do that sometime.
Yeah. But my main experience with that was there's supposedly a ghost in the upstairs. And Nicole was my ex-girlfriend. She had seen that ghost multiple times, like on her bed, certain areas. The mom had seen it, used to call down to the dad and say his name and things like that. So we're up in her room and we decided to go down. Walking down the stairs, I'm carrying her on my back, giving her a piggyback ride. Get to the bottom of the stairs, so I'm kind of hunched over. When I stand up and look, I could see in the reflection in her front door, I could see a lady in a white dress sitting on the stairs. It wasn't just me, it was her, or it was Nicole too, both at the same time. We just screamed. I was like, oh my God, and I dropped her. So she falls off my back and lands on her tailbone. So then I got distracted. I'm like, oh man, and I go to see if she's all right. And then we both look behind us, nothing there. And that was the only time really that I saw something. But yeah. I can still see it to this day. I can see it. If I close my eyes, I can see that lady sitting on the stairs. And so after that day, I mean, you cannot tell me there's not ghosts. I mean, I saw one with my own eyes. I didn't hear something or someone just get scared, like, oh my God, that was scary. Could you feel that? No, I saw something with my own eyes. They're there. I mean, and again, I could go into so many stories about that house. That house is still there. Nobody's living in it. They tried to sell it a bunch of different times. It would sell. Then the people would move out, sell again. People would move out. Now it's just been foreclosed and it's just sitting there empty. It's been sitting there empty for over 10 years. So nobody wants to move in there. That shit is haunted. But people want to say there's not ghosts. I don't know. Right. It's just because you haven't seen one.
Right. I've never seen one.
You know, it just, they're real.
I believe it.
People think I'm crazy and explain it away somehow. Again, it's kind of like the UFOs where a lot of people thought the UFO people were kind of nuts until, hey, stuff started coming out. You got the same thing with paranormal and dimensions and things like that, because people have seen things themselves and they tell stories, and if you've never seen or anything yourself, you just think they're kind of crazy. And right. People come up with ways to explain it away, and that's that. So,
and really,
it is very interesting to hear other people's stories. And you can kind of tell when people might fabricate their stuff a little bit, but I think it's pretty easy to pick out the real life stuff because it's usually something simple like mine. You know, we just saw it, and that was it. Like, there's no elaboration. It wasn't running around, didn't try and choke me, you know, nothing crazy happened. Thought, that was it. So,
yeah, I've never had the chance to see anything. But I've heard a lot of crazy shit aside from the P one, because Taylor and I used to try a ghost adventure shit like our ghost hunting stuff, and my old roommate Tay Tay in Fort Dodge, and there was one night we went to that creepy ass bridge, and we were hoping for some crazy shit to happen. And there was one point when we thought we heard some fucking footsteps above us when we were below the bridge. And we went up, obviously, nothing fucking there. But, and it didn't pick up on the voice recorder. But we both, like, it was one of those, we're looking around, we both heard it and just was like, you fucking hear that? Same, almost same fucking time. Like I just like, so I haven't seen anything, but I've heard lots of crazy stuff where I'm like, God, there's no way that wasn't something, something was there. Like, so I'm a total believer. And you get into the thought of maybe they're trans-dimensional beings, they're spirits of people, who knows, maybe aliens are not really aliens, they're just people of the future through another dimension. Who knows what the hell is going on? I mean, because you even get into things like reincarnation, and I know you have some good stuff about that. I myself wonder if I've got this little weird patch of hair, like on just right about on my rib cage. I don't know, maybe slightly below my rib cage, and exactly on the opposite side, like on my back, same spot, is another little tiny patch of hair, and it's always there. There's no other hair around there, but just those tiny two little spots. And I'm like, was I impaled in a past life? Like, is that what happened? Was I like, did I die by arrow or sword or something? Like, it's just crazy. Like,
yeah, same thing. I know. I was trying to explain to you the one. I don't even know if we can see it on the video, but on this right side here, I just have this weird kind of just shadow on my face. Almost.
I see it.
Yeah, and it's been there all my life. And what is it? Just a birthmark. Okay, but maybe I was blasted in the brain. My past life, or who knows? Like I am big on thinking that scars, or not scars per se, but weird birthmarks and things like that are, memories from our past life.
Yeah, almost like markings.
I am big on reincarnation because there is evidence, and I know I'm big on it. And there's a couple I've read a lot, and there's a couple that stand out that really just blow my mind. And I always talk about Dolores Eddy, who there's so much to her story, but she fell down a flight of stairs when she was young. When she came to, she was just different from that on. And the doctor's trying to explain it away in different ways, like, oh, she's suffering from this, or she's suffering from that. But she began to act like an Egyptian priestess. So she believed that she was an Egyptian priestess. She had the name, she could speak Egyptian, she could read hieroglyphics. She went on in her life to become like a major archaeologist in Egypt, and discovered all these different tombs and things like that, because she said she lived there and it was easy to find it. And she would talk about all these things from her past life, and it's really weird to think about, like that one I always thought was crazy. But the other one with, so this kid, I believe his name's James L. So he's the fighter pilot one, and I really like to talk about this one because he, around when he was like 2.5, 3 years old, he started having nightmares. And when he'd wake up, or even in the nightmare, he'd be yelling, "Oh, the plane, it's on fire, the plane." And he'd be thrashing and screaming and all this stuff, And he'd wake up from the dreams and he'd draw it out. And he could draw these planes crashing into the ocean on fire. He was drawing planes and drawing the Japanese symbol, the red sun, he was drawing those perfectly. He's like 2.5 years old. Like, how does he know about all that, And so the parents started really trying to look into this and like talking to him, and they were taking him around, showing him things. At one point, the mom brought him into a store, and there was a plane there, and she was like, "Oh, hey, honey, look, it's one of like the fighter planes." She said, "There's a bomb at the bottom. Do you see the bomb?" And he's like, "That's not a bomb. That's a what do you say?" He's like, "That's a drop tank." It's like a 3-year-old kid, it's not a bomb, it's a drop tank. And the mom's like, "That's weird, like
Right.
how do you know that?" So I ended up taking him to an air show, and when they took him to the air show, they had some of the old World War II fighter jets and stuff. He climbed in there and was naming all the things in there, how to fly the plane. He knew the names of all the different instruments, and it really blew the people away. And they're like, "How do you know all this?" As a little toddler. And so they did more and more research, and they ended up, through him and what he could tell them, they ended up pinpointing like who he was, the person, what company he came from, and like what ship he was on and everything. And they contacted some of the people that were still alive, some of the old World War II vets in that company, and they had this like meet and greet, and the kid knew them. The kid knew their names. He knew the names of their wives, and it just blew all these guys away. And they were like talking about it. And by then the kid was a little older, like 4 or 5, but he was like talking to him about like back in the day, the stuff that would happen. And it's like, how do you explain that?
Right.
That's the craziest shit you'll ever hear in your entire life. Like, and nothing happened to him. He didn't hit his head. A lot of the stuff with the Dolores, they put that on, they use all these big terms like, oh, because she hit her head, this thing happened to her brain, and it just switched on something crazy. And, pretty much she's just a crazy person. Like, they put her in psychiatric wards for a long time growing up because they just thought she was crazy, and she was like saying how Christianity was not right, and trying to promote like her Egyptian, gods and things like that. And everybody just thought she was this crazy devil girl and put her in a psych ward and all this. That's how they try and explain that stuff away. But it's just like, this kid didn't even hit his head. He just one day started having dreams, and he's actually this other person,
Right.
Crazy.
That is crazy shit.
Yeah.
Really, all of it is. I mean, there's just so much to really this whole topic, because when you talk UFOs, you can't really lump it in when you start going into it, because part of the idea is other dimensions and all, and that scientists are into that, and is tied to space itself, and so you start tying all this shit together, and you wonder if it really is it just somehow all linked. And there's just so much unknown about the universe, and it's the closed-minded people who are just, maybe they're just more comfortable in the reality that they have. They don't want to take the pill in the Matrix. They
We're
don't
the
want to.
smartest people. We're humans. We're the top of the food chain. That's all that matters.
Right.
Like, they couldn't get past that. Where we look at it as, yeah, we're nothing.
Yeah.
We're nothing. We're this little grain of sand somewhere in the universe. We think we're all smart, but we're probably not that smart compared to some of these other places, especially if people are coming and visiting us.
Right. Even if we are one of the smarter species, still in the general scope of the universe, we're just nothing. I mean, like, it's so, yeah. Like I've said, I've long said, this shit is a lot more like Star Wars than I think people realize. And I really feel, like I said previously, we're kind of the black sheep. And, I just imagine aliens having conversations about this fucking planet and what humanity's done. Like,
those humans, they
those
think they're
fucking
so
humans.
smart. Fucking idiot.
Let's fly down.
Trump, they're laughing at Donald Trump, like, who's this guy? They picked this guy to run the country. They're laughing at us.
Doesn't even wear his pants right. Fuck's sake.
Yeah, they're watching the same news stories that we're posting, and
Oh,
they're
yeah.
all laughing. they've got the Human Network, kind of like the Truman Show, you know?
Yeah.
Like, what are you watching? Just got the Human Network on, just watching all the crazy bullshit that's going on in Earth.
Right.
What is a TV show? It's the Truman Show. That's what it is. I figured it out. It's the Truman Show.
Truman Show might be giving us too much credit. We might be much more akin to like funny cat videos for them.
That's true.
But I like the Truman Show comparison as well. But yeah, I don't know. I don't got anything else, man. I'm happy you joined me to talk about this shit. How you want to close it out? Do you have some final thoughts on the entirety of what we've discussed in this topic in general?
Not much, just kind of what you said, just space, man. Space is great. There's so much to talk about with space, whether you're talking about aliens, other dimensions, whatever. Space, man. Space is great. I've told you I'm getting into astrophotography. I'm still working on it, but it's a lot of fun, and it's fun to just even just looking through a telescope like you do, just looking at these other galaxies, other stars, other planets. I'm trying to just take pictures of them just because it's just interesting, you know, and we could be taking a picture of a galaxy that there's other life on. We just don't know it, you know,
Right.
But maybe someone in that galaxy is out there taking a picture of our galaxy, you know, like it's just crazy to think about. Like, why not, you know? And
why not? Right. Open your mind.
Yeah. And it's just cool, man. Space is cool, kids.
Space is cool, kids.
Space
is cool. Indeed. So, speaking of, next time you come on, that's what we'll talk about. We'll pick out some fun space stuff to chat about, and we'll do that. But yeah, I'm glad you came on this time, man. It was a lot of fun. Glad to have you, and hopefully we can do it again soon.
Yes, sir. It was fun.
Hell yeah. And people, we will be right back to close this shit out. Yes. Great conversation with Tacocat. Gracias again, mi hermano. That's mucho. I was going to say funno, but mucho funno, because I can't remember the word for fun. Man, I should really brush up about that. It's been a long time. That's what happens when you try and, learn foreign languages. It's actually, I've done pretty well learning Spanish, but then if I don't use it, I fucking lose it. That's what happens. I should really brush up on it. Bust out that Duolingo. Good old Duolingo. But I hope you enjoyed the combo. I thought it was great. Really enjoy chatting with my brother. And we chat a lot like that anyway, And then, so why not record it? Right. It's good stuff. So, before we go, y'all, previously I mentioned over the next few weeks could be a bit weird. So we're just going to follow this new schedule. I'm going to release this pod early in the week, and then we'll see what else I can do with my other creative endeavors. So like I said, got to get used to the new routine, and got some stand-up, some open mic sets to prepare. So that is the deal there. Speaking of comedy and open mics and stand-up and all of that, check out Andrew Schultz. He's a new, I don't think he's that new, honestly, but I just came across him. But he's got an album out, 551, that's really good. And then he's got a Netflix special that's pretty fun. So check this dude out. I really dig him. And then one of my favorites, Kyle Kinane, is going to be going on tour. So keep an eye out for him. If he hits your area, check him out. He's good stuff. So, and on that, don't forget to keep laughing at Trump pants, because that's fucking great. Let's end this tea party. Get this show on the motherfucking road, end this show so everybody can get back to what they need to do. Oh, no, what was it? That's my fault. Music going all haywire. Apologies. Trump pants. Just remember Trump pants. Okay, let's get out of here. I do appreciate everyone joining, and once again, hope you enjoyed the combo with Tacocat. So other than that, yeah, let's bust out of here. Let's bust out of here. Woo! Don't forget, as I mentioned, keep an eye on the social. Much love, as always. Stay safe, stay vigilant.